Straight ahead on What's New, Cedar Point fans, your summer will not be wasted. Governor Mike DeWine today giving the thumbs up to America's favorite rock and roller coaster. Everything you need to know about when Cedar Point will open.
The sole aim was to fan the literal flames of rioters because, and I quote from their messages, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Cracking down on violence, the FBI arrests 2 people they say came to Cleveland last weekend to cause destruction.
I think that we have one shot to do it right. We want to make sure that every child's safe, every parent's comfortable, and we're doing our part.
And getting back on the field, we check in with local high school football coaches on how they're getting ready for the next season while keeping their kids safe. What's New starts now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Hello again, thanks so much for joining us. It is a beautiful Friday. Betsy, I have one question for you. Is it going to be a beautiful weekend? Let's do a little weather tease here.
You are totally stealing my thunder here, Jay. Yes, it's going to be fantastic.
All right, wonderful. Betsy Kling's back at our WKYC studios. I'm Jay Crawford, and there is big news on this Friday edition of What's New. It's the news that so many of you have been waiting for. Most of your summertime activities now have a green light from Governor Mike DeWine, and that includes Cedar Point, and that's not the only place that will be reopening soon. Laura Queso, happy Friday to you. Share the details, please.
Oh, do I have details? Happy Friday to you too, Jay. Okay, this is all news, new news coming in just a couple of hours ago. After weeks of waiting, we now know Cedar Point and Kings Island have permission to welcome guests inside the park for the 2020 season on Friday, June 19th. That's actually 2 weeks from today. This also includes water parks throughout the state. Now, the governor also announced the state's casinos and racinos have been permitted to reopen on June 19th, too, including the Jack Casino in downtown Cleveland. The same goes for outdoor theaters once they submit plans to the state. As always, there are safety measures in place. And the governor says while the virus is still very much alive, we are making progress.
The movement statewide is good. We are below, at this point, one person infecting another person. So all of those things allow us just to continue to move forward cautiously.
Now, one other thing, PGA's Memorial Tournament in Dublin will be allowed to host fans, yes, from July 13th to 19th, Jay.
Oh boy, that is huge news for sports fans and golf fans. That's such a wonderful tournament. It is so well attended each year. Of course, played at Jack Nicklaus's Muirfield down in Dublin, Ohio. So, Laura, the governor has given Cedar Point the green light for June 19th, but I imagine there's a lot of work to do for the park between then and now. Do we know exactly when they will be allowing visitors?
In short, no. But Cedar Point did put out a statement late this afternoon saying that it will announce an opening date as soon as they confirm details with the governor. So no exact date yet. But again, we do know that the governor said they can open 2 weeks from today, Jay.
All right, interesting. A lawsuit was filed against the state just yesterday on behalf of the amusement parks to open. It will not make it to court now. Laura, thank you so much. We'll see you in the 5:30 half hour of What's New. And it appears the number of daily coronavirus cases here in Ohio have leveled off now to between 400 and 500 a day. 8 of the past 9 days, we've had now fewer than 500 new cases. Today's number, 476. That is down slightly from yesterday's number of 490. Betsy?
Well, now on to your feed at 5. It has been 6 tense days in Cleveland since the rioting and the looting that took place last Saturday. So today, barricades were placed outside the Justice Center downtown Cleveland. This is the spot where violence started during last week's demonstrations. There are also barricades outside the 2nd District Police headquarters where a protest is planned for tomorrow. We've also learned the city will hand out cloth masks to demonstrators. Well, today the FBI announced 2 arrests, 23-year-old Brandon Altoff Long and 22-year-old Devin Bryce Poland. Police say they traveled from Erie, Pennsylvania to Cleveland to cause destruction last weekend. 3 News investigator Rachel Polanski is breaking this story tonight. Rachel?
Althoff Long and Bryce Poland had their initial appearance virtually this morning. The FBI said these two discussed, planned, and traveled to our city with one goal: to destroy and incite violence.
Items found in the vehicle included a firearm, numerous rounds of ammunition, fire gel, and a hammer, among other items.
According to the criminal complaint, the two face multiple charges, including bringing guns or explosives to Saturday's demonstration, as well as conspiracy to use those weapons to commit a federal felony. Investigators also got a hold of both men's cell phones.
None of the messages exchanged between Mr. Poland and Mr. Long mentioned how their travel to Cleveland was to memorialize and honor the memory of George Floyd. The sole aim was to fan the literal flames of rioters because, and I quote from their messages, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
A search of court records revealed that neither man had serious charges before today. Though Poland was arrested for an assault, that case was later dismissed. 3 News Investigates also found these photos on Althoff Long's Facebook page. And Special Agent Smith went on to say that the FBI, along with its law enforcement partners, will continue to review every photo, video, and social media posting, trying to figure out exactly what happened on Saturday night and who had a hand in making it happen. Coming up tonight at 6, you'll hear from Cleveland Police Chief Calvin Williams. Rachel Plansky, 3 News.
After surprising unemployment numbers, the markets roared today. It was expected the U.S. economy would lose an estimated 8 million jobs, additional jobs last week. Instead, it actually added 2.5 million jobs, resulting in one of the most robust days in the history of U.S. markets. The Dow closing a short while ago, up more than 3% for the day. Let's figure out what it all means. And to do that, we bring in NBC's host of Meet the Press, Chuck Todd. Chuck, a very good afternoon to you. That's surprising news on both fronts. What do you make of the economic news from today?
No, it's not the first time that I feel like economists on Thursday say one thing and you're like, oh, how about that? Economists were wrong. But this was a big whiff. I do think this is an endorsement of that PPP program, right? The Paycheck Protection, that Paycheck Protection Plan program, in that it was basically, let me give you an example. For instance, 10% of the new jobs that were in this report came from dentist offices. Dentist offices basically had to pursue one of 2 routes when they had to shut down. You could get one of these loans, right, that would be forgiven if you brought your employees back, or you could furlough your employees. They could get some unemployment, and with you're making the promise to come back, to bring them back. And the point is that it created a mindset of essentially we're suspending the economy, we're not letting it crater. It is a sort of suspension in sort of suspended animation, and that in general this worked. This program is working. Now, it's not perfect. It's not clear this is going to be the long-term answer for airlines. It's not clear it's going to be the long-term answer for some of these hospitality things, because travel's still got a long way to go to come back. But it shows you that I think it means that we have an opportunity here to at least not have a disastrous downturn. That, I wouldn't expect more spikes like this going forward. Many of the economists said that if you look at this jobs report, these were the easiest jobs to get back because they were the sort of the frontline furloughs type of thing. But it is I think it provides some relief that, I don't know if we're going to hit a double dip. Maybe we don't have a V, but maybe we have a W. Right? And more importantly, we don't go down again.
Chuck, quickly, we only have about 30 seconds. I think most observers are stunned at how quickly Wall Street bounced back. What will the long-term effect be on Main Street? How long will it be before Main Street feels this surge?
And that's where I think that there's some question marks on that front. And, the market and Main Street have been diverging a lot. I mean, if you consider the markets, other than the first few days of the economic, of the pandemic in late March, from April on, if you just were following the stock market, you'd think, oh, the economy is still fine, right? It was sort of disconcerting. So one of the things you always have to remember, markets are about the future. They're not telling you what the economy is today.
Good point. Chuck Todd from Washington. You can see him right here Sunday morning at 10 o'clock with Meet the Press. Chuck, thanks so much for your time.
Well, health officials have been talking about a disparity in health care among races for years. But by declaring racism an official public health crisis, the hope is that it will lead to significant change. Research shows the lack of quality health care for African Americans led to an increase in chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart disease. But the pandemic has also targeted this issue as African Americans are affected by it at a much higher rate in Ohio and the nation.
I cannot explain what it means to fight for your existence in every space you enter, often with people who have no authority over you, whether it be going for a jog, walking in your neighborhood, picnicking at a park, shopping at a store, being in your own yard.
Well, as these resolutions get passed, the hope is that it will open the door for more funding to bring equality to health care.
Betsy, artists in the Cleveland music scene are coming together today to support a fellow musician who lost most of his life's work during Saturday's unrest. Tiffany Tarpley tells us his story and the effort to help.
Your body's not next to me.
Music is a release for 23-year-old Corey Michaels. He's worked hard, writing, producing, and performing. On Saturday, he says the key parts of his equipment, including his computer, as well as intellectual and artistic property, were stolen from Stella's Music Club on East 9th Street. In the rush to close the venue during the unrest downtown, he left the items behind. It wasn't until the next day he learned the bar was trashed and his life's work gone.
I lost a lot of time. I lost a lot of hard work. I lost a lot of money too, not just in the computer and the mixer and the cables, but also the programs that are on side of it, the music production software, the editing software. But look at what everyone else is losing right now. People are losing their businesses, and furthermore, people are losing their lives.
Virtual Shows Kling, which started to help musicians during the pandemic, is sponsoring a fundraiser for Corey.
He will perform a virtual concert tonight on Virtual Shows Kling's Facebook page. It'll be at 8 o'clock. You can find a link on our website, WKYC.com, and on our mobile app. Tiffany Tarpley, 3 News.
Tiffany, thank you very much. Ahead on What's New, high school football coaches and players are trying to prepare for next season.
I think about football a lot year-round, and it's been tough for me personally because there's just a lot of uncertainty attached to it right now. Miss the kids.
How districts are getting kids safely back on the field. And Stephanie, what's clicking in Cleveland on this beautiful Friday afternoon?
Jay, Kevin Love is taking former President Barack Obama's advice and making big changes to the Kevin Love Fund. We'll tell you what Obama said to him and what Kevin Love is doing with his charity. Now, Betsy, what's the weather looking like?
Well, I know Jay wants to go to his happy place, which of course is on a boat on Lake Erie. So Jay, this nearshore forecast is for you. Light northwesterly winds may add a little bit of a chop, but I think for the most part we'll be just fine. 1 to 2 foot swells. That water temperature off Cleveland, friends, is still only 59. The water's still chilly, but the temperatures are heating up. We're going to talk about that in the forecast next.
Welcome back to our Friday edition of What's New. Hope you're having a great day so far. We took another big step towards returning to normal this week when high school football coaches and youth coaches were given the green light to start preparing their teams for the next season. But what will the practices look like as we try to keep our kids safe? Here's Dave Chudowski.
Well, there are a lot of changes, and like most things with this virus, the fact is we just don't know how it's going to look. I talked to 3 local coaches about how they're preparing through the uncertainty.
You know, it's just been kind of a wild adventure trying to get it all figured out.
Every coach would agree. And this wild adventure is far from over. From the west side to the east side, high school football coaches are trying to figure out how to practice during this unprecedented time.
Right now, how does a practice look for you guys being a contact sport? Is it social distancing? Is it wearing masks? How does it work?
That's a great question because I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. That's what, going into August 1st, 60 to 70 guys on the same field running around doing drills with each other. Nobody knows how that's going to look.
But this is how phase 1 is going to look at Kirtland, Bay High, and everywhere else. Pods of 9 kids in separate areas with 1 coach. Each pod stays together for 2 weeks. If that goes well, they can move into phase 2. Increasing the number of kids, then hopefully into a phase 3 with a large group. No gathering in locker rooms or after practice, and everyone has to wash their hands. I've spent a lifetime playing and covering football and thinking about the challenges ahead.
I'm trying to imagine it. Do players have to wear masks? Do you have to take their temperature? Do they have to stay 6 feet apart?
Definitely a 6-foot rule, for social distancing. Masks are highly recommended. The coach has a chart that he'll fill out, or she will fill out, goes through a checklist for each athlete, asking them if they have a temperature, if they have any symptoms, so that we can make sure that everyone is symptom-free.
Other sports, including club teams like Upper 90 North FC, are navigating through these guidelines as well. The kids go right from the car to their sectioned off area, 6 to 10 feet apart. No sharing of water, and each player gets hand sanitizer. Parents cannot come on the field. Coaches wear masks.
I think that we have one shot to do it right. We want to make sure that every child's safe, every parent's comfortable, and we're doing our part. So we're going to put a lot on us. We have to. We have to be accountable on what we do.
Have you thought about it all when you could see them playing games again?
Dave, I wish I could answer that. I want to get back on the pitch. I would love for all this to get behind us and get back to where we were, but I think everything's going to be done in phases.
So we continue to wait for competition, but it's better than being apart on this wild ride.
Most of it is you just miss them. They can do workouts at home, but most of it is like, I don't know how you don't care about these kids. You spend that much time with them over a 4-year period.
I think about football a lot year round, and it's been tough for me personally because there's just a lot of uncertainty attached to it right now. Miss the kids. I mean, that's what coaching's all about, is those relationships with the kids and everything. And not getting to see them on a daily basis has been tough.
Well, one thing that will certainly help, the OHSAA eliminated the 10-day coaching contact restriction for team sport coaches this summer. That means from May 29th to August 31st, they can practice as much as needed. But until further notice, no competitions of any kind. The question, will there be a season?
And Dave, that is a very good question. Great report. So much going into this. Betsy, I know that the bottom line here, obviously, is to keep everybody safe. And there's still, we have to remember, so much about this that we don't know. This is the first time that we've gone down a road like this before. It's all going to be trial and error, learn as you go. Coaches already have a difficult job as it is, just made more difficult for sure by these parameters that are now on them. Kind of nuts.
It definitely is.
Okay,
well, you got to think, too, the kids who are trying for scholarships and stuff like that, this kind of puts a kink in that. So it's, I know a lot of people who say, oh, well, school is about education, not sports. And I agree with that to a point, but you can make it a little bit more fun. And that's where the sports comes in. That builds camaraderie among the student body. And
absolutely.
It does have a value, certainly. So hopefully we'll get that all figured out in the future.
Will the weather be good enough to go outdoors and play games of whatever kind we want this weekend?
Did you listen? I dedicated the near shore forecast to you, Jay. You got your own personalized forecast. It's going to be fantastic.
Man, you're too good to me.
I'm telling you, tomorrow is going to be a day of change for us. It's going to start humid, but as the day goes on, the humidity is going to be going down. If you have plans this evening to get out, well, temperatures are still hanging out in the 80s. We're going to go with green checks, but you can also see there's a little thunderstorm icon there. So what's up with that? Well, we do have a chance for some thunderstorms to be rumbling through. Here's a look at the radar. We had a beautiful lake breeze boundary today. Did you see it? You're going, what are you talking about, right? Well, the boundary itself acts like a little bit of a cold front and pops up those fantastic cumulus clouds just south of the lakeshore. Those cumulus clouds finally got a little gumption to them, and we are getting some thundery weather that's moving southeast. This cluster is what I'm really keeping an eye on, though, for the evening. This is coming into our very warm, humid air mass that we have in place. We don't have a lot of focusing mechanism for these thunderstorms to live on, so we're not looking for this to upgrowth and get into a big organized complex or anything. But that being said, it's always concerning when you see thunderstorms headed right out toward the island. So if you have friends or family that are out on the islands, give them a shout. Let them know. I'm sure they're seeing this out to the west of them. The skies are probably getting a little bit dark. Closer to home, though, we do have these little showers that popped up earlier. They'll continue to move off to the southeast. These are going to produce some pretty good bouts of rain as they move through. We've got one that's moving through the Streetsboro area right now, maybe out a little bit farther east towards Shalersville. Again, this is drifting to the southeast, so straight down 43 into Stowe and Kent, and then back into Cuyahoga Falls. Some very heavy rainfall falling right now, so folks on the towpath trail probably got a little bit of a surprise coming down. And then Wadsworth into Norton, Barberton, we're getting some thunder and some lightning going on there. And then farther south, Rittman over into Chippewa Township, Doylestown area, we have some of these showers that are coming down. It is sizzling, friends. We made it well into the 80s across much of northeast Ohio. That is, of course, adding to that fuel. But you can see there's a little bit of dry air that's sitting out here as in opposition to the warmer dew points that we have going on farther southeast. And that is kind of what sets the stage that we're going to have that possibility for some thunderstorms to linger here. But it also means that whatever thunderstorms do form, we're going to end up getting some heavy rain out of them. So we're keeping an eye on it. Universal Windows Direct forecast. Look at this. 70s tomorrow. Mostly sunny. Humid in the morning. Humidity goes down through the day. Absolute perfection on Sunday with low 70s. More sunshine on Monday. Here comes the heat. The heat is coming ahead of rain. That rain is associated with a tropical storm that's down in the Yucatan Peninsula. I'm going to talk about Cristobal coming up in the next half hour. Jay?
All right, Betsy, thank you very much. Straight ahead on What's New, Kevin Love is back at it. Before, he addressed mental health. Now, he's addressing inequality and racism. Stephanie Haney has all the details next.
Okay, mic check. We start off with surprising news about that 75-year-old man.
Ah, yes, we know that music, and it means it is time for What is Clicking in Cleveland with our digital anchor, Stephanie Haney. First of all, Stephanie, mega props. You look adorable today. Now to you.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you, Betsy. We start off with some surprising news about Martin Gugino. This is that 75-year-old man who was seen in a video appearing to be shoved to the ground by those Buffalo police officers. Apparently, he has Northeast Ohio ties. Now, this is a little bit tough to watch, but here is that video. Gugino lived and worked in Akron and Cleveland areas at First Energy for quite some time, spending nearly 20 years in Northeast Ohio. So when he fell, he hit his head and he could be seen bleeding from his head and ears while he laid there, and the officers walked on. 2 of those officers have since been suspended, and Gugino is currently in serious but stable condition. We'll be keeping an eye on his health, of course. Now here, back in Cleveland, Kevin Love is making big changes to the Kevin Love Fund. The fund, of course, has always addressed mental health, but now he'll be trying to meet mental health needs specifically related to inequality and racism. This is after a team member told him this: "As an African-American woman, the information you're putting out there just doesn't resonate with me. Deep breaths don't help with racial trauma." Love took that to heart, and now he's sharing this plan with all of us now, thanks to advice from former President Barack Obama, who told him back in February to be a little more public and set an example for the people. Also here in downtown Cleveland, as of 6 a.m. this morning, that curfew is officially over, and there are no plans at this time to reinstate that curfew over the weekend. Mayor Frank Jackson said that he hopes this will be the end of the curfew, but if needed, he said he will institute it again, and if so, that'll be done quickly. Now, while things reopen here downtown again, health officials are reminding people to keep in mind those COVID-19 safety protocols, because it'll be a couple of weeks until we find out what those demonstrations that resulted in that curfew, what kind of an impact that has on those cases here in Ohio, Betsy.
Everybody's just got to stay safe. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much. Still ahead, a new business is opening up shop, and its goal is to help you enjoy the outdoors without spending a lot of money. We'll show you how you can get everything from bikes to kayaks. And a Michigan dad is getting a lot of attention for his honest and hilarious post about his daughter's fake restaurant. And now that businesses are reopening, families are disagreeing on balancing safety with living life. We're going to speak to a relationship expert to help families come up with a compromise. We'll be right back.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to What's New. Happy Friday to you. I'm Betsy Kling, and Jay Crawford is joining us once again from Studio J, deep inside his home. So, Jay, we start off our 5:30 half hour every day with something good. So, Jay, tell me something good.
This one's great, in fact. It's like a cute overload. I think it's probably going to be the cutest thing you'll see all weekend. Meet Instagram dog superstar Samson. Here's the deal, Betsy. Samson just loves to cuddle with his little human. Look at that. He has more than 700,000 followers on Instagram. Of course he does. Many of his posts are just he and his little brother snuggling. Can you believe this?
I can't even.
It like just busted the cute scale.
That is so sweet. And of course, their little baby's nice and warm with all that extra fur around. So that is super cool.
Absolutely. And that'll get your weekend started on the right note, I hope.
It definitely should. And hopefully your dogs are going to take your granddaughter that way. Wouldn't that be fun?
I can't wait for that meeting. I just can't wait. There's a lot of curiosity to see how they'll respond to something tiny that everyone is making over. Because I know when we FaceTime, and you know how you baby talk into the phone, both Goldens come running up and try to get between me and the phone. What about me? What about me? So that'll be interesting.
Very interesting, J-Pop. Good luck with that, for sure.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on now. It's time for our top talker. You know, we found this post this morning. It's a little girl holding up a sign that says, "We said Black Lives Matter, never said only Black Lives Matter. We know all lives matter. We just need your help with Black Lives Matter, for Black lives are in danger." That's a really powerful sign, and a little girl holding it just makes a huge difference. It really gives you a lot of courage about the future. Well, there's a lot of talk and controversy over people responding to Black Lives Matter with All Lives Matter. So we talked with Ariane Kirkpatrick, the NAACP, with the NAACP this afternoon about it.
401 years of an oppression of people simply based on the color of their skin. And we often have to remind everybody that our lives do matter. And we wouldn't have to do that in 2020 if we didn't have the first Black this, or we had to have particular MVE, we had to talk about public outcry, civil unrest on Black community. We have to talk about when there are more Black mothers dying, where there are more Black babies dying, where the pandemic of COVID-19 affects a Black race differently.
She added that she's happy to see that people of all backgrounds are standing together to show that Black lives do matter. Jay?
Well, Betsy, this week the director of the CDC says he's very concerned that the agency's public health message about coronavirus is not resonating with the public. Dr. Robert Redfield's concerns stem from two things. One, the many protests that we've seen nationwide, bringing tens of thousands of people well within the safe social distancing space of 6 feet, as well as most states now reopening their doors for business.
Yeah, I think the first thing I would like to see is those individuals that have partaken in these peaceful protests or been out protesting, and particularly if they're in metropolitan areas that really haven't controlled the outbreak to the extent we want. Minneapolis happens to be one that was still having significant transmission. DC is another one. We really want those individuals to highly consider being evaluated and get tested.
Dr. Redfield is also urging everyone outside to still wear masks and for people to make sure kids are getting caught up on their immunizations. That's very important, and that people get their flu shot to prepare for the upcoming flu season. Betsy?
Well, it is now 5:34 and 56. Well, it's just about 5:35. We want to get everybody caught up with some of the other headlines taking place right now in the newsroom with our Laura Queso. Good evening, Laura.
Good evening to you. All right, Betsy, markets soared today following some pretty surprising economic news. The economy actually added 2.5 million jobs in May, and unemployment has dropped closer to 13%. much lower than expected. While this is good news, the Congressional Budget Office warns the impact of coronavirus on the economy could last a decade. The Dow jumped more than 800 points today, closing at just over 27,000. Minneapolis police have agreed to ban the use of chokeholds following the death of George Floyd. Negotiators for the city worked out an agreement with the state that would also require police to report and intervene if they see unauthorized use of force by another officer. Well, new tensions tonight between Twitter and its most famous user, that's President Donald Trump. The social media platform has disabled a Trump campaign video tribute to George Floyd. Twitter says it was done in response to a copyright complaint, and the company responds to all valid claims. Twitter slapped fact-check warnings on 2 of the president's tweets just last month. Those are your headlines for this Friday. All right, back to you.
We'll see you soon, coming up on What Matters Most starting at 6. Thank you, Laura. Jay?
Well, Betsy, the entertainment world is front and center, seeking social justice. Stephanie Haney has it all in your daily pop break.
LeBron James is calling out Fox News anchor Laura Ingraham after she stood up for Drew Brees over his comments regarding disrespecting the flag.
He's allowed to have his view about what kneeling and the flag means to him. I mean, he's a person.
After she told James to stick to sports.
So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
James and his many fans were quick to point out the hypocrisy, with James posting a powerful response of his own. Ending with, "This is why we can't just stick to sports." Jay-Z is putting his money where his mouth is, chartering his own private plane, a Bombardier Challenger 850, to get the lawyers representing Ahmaud Arbery's family to a court appearance in Brunswick, Georgia. The lawyers posted on Instagram saying that no flights were available, and at 1 a.m. they were starting to lose hope until they got a call from Jay-Z's people at Rock Nation, who told them transportation was on the way. One of the lawyers, S. Lee Merritt, said that's part of the PPE plan. People power, political power, economic power to get us out of this crisis. And Kanye West has quietly made sure that George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter Gianna will be able to go to college one day.
That changed the world. Daddy changed the world.
The rapper created a 529 college savings plan that will completely cover Gianna's tuition when that time comes. And he also donated $2 million to the families and legal funds seeking justice for the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, all while showing up on Thursday to march with protesters in his hometown of Chicago. School must really be on Kanye's mind right now, because the march that he joined in his hometown of Chicago was with Chicago public school system students, and they were protesting police presence in their schools. Now, the kids got very excited that Kanye showed up, Jay, so things got a little bit disorganized. So reports say that Kanye didn't stay there very long so as not to detract for the message, but it really meant a lot to them that he showed up there.
I'm sure it did. Just imagine, here he comes. He's at your school. I can see how that could cause a little bit of a ruckus. Stephanie, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Well, right now it is time for our senior shout out. Tonight we're honoring Tyler Rack of Buckeye High School in Medina. Tyler is graduating with honors and has carried a 4.6 GPA in his senior year. He plans on attending the College of Worcester, where he'll study political science. Tyler was busy in high school, ran on both the cross-country and track teams for 2 years, and lettered both years. Tyler, we know you've made great sacrifices, so we send a huge congratulations and good luck from 3 News and What's New. Still ahead, a new business is helping people get outside and enjoy nature without spending a whole lot of money to do it. They have everything from bikes to kayaks and even sleeping bags, and we're going to tell you all about it straight ahead. Betsy, how's the weather?
Well, you can see that there's this line of clouds and a few showers and storms that are entering from left to right into your picture. That is the cold front that's going to make all the difference for the weekend. Look at those skies, everybody. We're going to keep an eye on those thunderstorms, and we're going to keep an eye out for more sunshine on the way. I've got the latest. Oh, it's pop quiz time. Sorry, I forgot about it. Of course, it's a great topic, too. Who created Donut Day? How do you not want to know the answer to this one? Who created Donut Day? Was it donut shop owners, donut lovers, or the Salvation Army? That's an interesting one. We'll have the answer. All right, it is time now for the answer to our pop quiz. We asked you who created Donut Day, and the answer is C, the Salvation Army. According to the organization's website, it started in 1938 as a way to honor the, quote, donut lassies who delivered treats to soldiers during World War I. I bet they were pretty popular, Jay.
I bet they were, and now you know. Betsy, thanks. As the weather turns nicer, exploring the outdoors may be on your to-do list. But running up a bill for all the gear you may need may put that idea on hold. But there is help. A new store wants to make it easier to go outside and get that fresh air so many of us need without spending a lot of money. Amani Abraham takes us to the Cleveland Outpost.
Similar concepts like this exist in a lot of outdoorsy hubs around the country. When we wanted to bring this concept to Cleveland,
the Cleveland Outpost is brand new to the Ohio outdoor scene. So new that they're just putting up the sign on the business. It's a used gear exchange store in Rocky River, featuring kayaks, tents, sleeping bags, frisbees, skis, and more.
We have so many different options of gear in the store, and it's always fluctuating, always changing.
Co-founders Josh Scott and Hannah Kelling wanted to make exploring outdoors easier for everyone. So offering affordable gear was the right thing to do.
Gear is expensive. It's frankly too expensive. And there's a lot of inaccessibility in the outdoors world.
People can donate, trade, or put their old outdoor gear on consignment, passing it on to the next person to continue the adventure.
The reception's been really energizing. I think that we've been on the fence for a while about how things would go.
The partners had the business idea back in November, not knowing they would open during a pandemic.
Absolutely terrifying, sometimes very anxiety-inducing.
But also, definitely all of those things. But it's also been a great opportunity.
So as we all come out of quarantine, a new outdoor hobby might be the way to kick off spring.
We are really committed to helping people try something new.
And there's so much opportunity within a stone's throw of your front door.
Amani Abraham, 3 News.
That really is a great idea, and thanks to them for providing that, because it is, Betsy, when you think about going on just a regular camping trip, the cost can escalate in a hurry, but if you got like a play-it-again sports type thing for outdoors, you can do it on a budget. I like that.
You can, and it also helps because people grow, kids grow, and they may grow out of whatever you get them, so it's a really good opportunity for that too.
That is very, very, very true.
All right, I know you want to know about the forecast, and that's definitely on my mind as well. We have a lot to talk about because we have changes that are going to be coming our way over the next 7 days. We're going to take a look at tonight, though, and over the next 12 hours, beautiful evening setting up. Feels certainly summery out there. We're in the 80s. We're going to fade back into the 70s, and tomorrow morning we will be in the 60s. Now, here's the thing. It's still going to be a little humid in the morning, but then things are going to get less and less humid as the day goes on. Radar is still very active, especially south of Cleveland and west of Cleveland. We're going to keep a very close eye on all of this. We do have just enough punch in the atmosphere that we could see these thunderstorms sustain, but they are moving into somewhat drier air. Except for these storms a little bit farther south. They are definitely rumbling along through the Akron area over into Kent. And this is going to continue to move over toward Ravenna and then farther to the south and the east. Now, we are seeing one thunderstorm as well. It's out by Doylestown, Clinton Township. That's going to head toward Portage Lakes. So if there's folks out on the lakes right now, and then eventually graze its way right down toward Plain and Jackson Townships, Canton, Maslin area too. These thunderstorms are really cooking that are out over the lake right now. They are elevated. They've got enough energy just above the surface because remember the water is cool, but this is going to definitely impact the island. So concern about boaters out on the west end of the lake at this point. But other than that, it's just a very warm, muggy evening. Temperatures are in the 80s across northern Ohio with the exception of Youngstown. There's a peek at that little bit of drier air that's sitting here in western Ohio right now. So hopefully that'll help to take the punch out of that larger storm. But there is tons of humidity. Dew points upper 60s to 70, friends. That's muggy, and it's going to stay muggy here for a little while. National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast. What's left of these storms fade away as we go into the overnight. That's good news. The front will pass through early morning, and that will leave us tomorrow morning with a partly cloudy sky, temperatures generally in the 60s. But as the day goes on, the humidity will be going down. The good news is here we have the sunshine to offset the cool air intrusion. So that should help to hold the temperatures mid and upper 70s without a problem. We'll have a little bit cooler air right along the lakeshore, but even into tomorrow evening, it looks phenomenal in northeast Ohio. We've got to talk about the muggy meter because we're very comfortable right now, but you can kind of see this little surge back into more humid air, and that happens on Tuesday to Wednesday. Here's why. Tropical Storm Cristobal. Interesting to note, the storm center has been slowly working its way north through the Yucatan, and now it's going to be back over water. So watch this baby start to intensify. It'll start to organize. 40-mile-per-hour winds, but the most important part of the forecast is watch what happens. It moves north, and look at where it is Tuesday and then Wednesday. Guess what happens Tuesday and then Wednesday? Our temperatures go up, and remember, the humidity's going up, and that's when we have thunderstorms back in the forecast. I love it when a plan comes together. Universal Windows Direct forecast has temperatures that are going to be dropping back into the low 70s by the time we hit Sunday, which will be gorgeous. Then next week, it's more summer heat, and that 90 is coming ahead of that storm system. So, any variation in the track or intensity of that thing could change things a little bit, but right now, typically with a southern landfalling storm like that, it will push a heat wave our way before it gets here. Jay?
All right, Betsy, thank you very much. The state is reopening, but not everyone is agreeing on how to go about their lives, and that includes married couples, how to get on the same page as your significant other. And we've all been there having to say that tough goodbye to our little ones as we head off to work. The sweetest goodbye is coming up in our Worth the Watch. Stay with us.
You know, such a big part of parenting is playing with your kids, and this Detroit dad is getting a lot of attention for his honest and hilarious review of his daughter's pretend restaurant. He wrote, "So I tried to support another Black-owned business for lunch today. It's called Ava's Kitchen, just opened the end of April. It's a very clean establishment, but whoo, let me tell you about this owner. First off, I asked why there were balloons on my chair. It's not my birthday. She told me to mind my business, and those are mommy's." He went on to say he waited 45 minutes for his food, and Ava was making good progress, but then stopped for 20 minutes to watch Paw Patrol. He added overall the customer service could be better, but the cook is a cutie, so he's going to give her another chance. Let's not give up on Black businesses so fast after one mistake. Isn't that adorable? That little girl just cracks me up. That is just so a big part of raising a little one. It's kind of the fun part too. Well, I'm sure at this point you've been shacked up with your little ones for quite some time now, and maybe it's getting past the cute stage. But keep this in mind. As the state reopens, you may not agree with how everyone is going on with their lives, and that may include your own spouse. Again, everybody's in tight quarters. So we reached out to husband and wife relationship therapists Brian and Ashley, who say they've gotten tons of questions on how to manage the differences. They say it starts with a conversation about understanding where the other person is coming from.
Understanding why their partner has concerns or why they believe, what they believe first before coming to a decision together.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I think looking for the value that is beneath the concern can sometimes be helpful and lead to less criticism and defensiveness between the two parties. So I think that can be very useful as well.
All right. Well, we all know kids have opinions too, and they might not like your decisions either. They say include them in your decision-making process. The pandemic is a great opportunity to help your kids build decision-making skills.
Kids do grasp a lot more than they're often given credit for. And I think, as we're talking about these changes, kind of giving them the tools that they have to start to learn also how to navigate difficult decisions. That's what we do as parents, right? Is we scaffold the ability to make hard decisions, for our children so that they learn how to navigate these things themselves as they grow older.
Well, if you're talking to your kids or even your spouse about decisions relating to your health, it's not a bad time to navigate and discuss everyday health concerns otherwise, too. We'll be right back.
Betsy, it's time for our Worth the Watch. What a great way to send you to the weekend. This one will pull at your heartstrings. A little boy in Illinois does not want his dad to go to work. Watch.
Hey, it's wet. It's wet outside. I love you.
Okay, run. Run. I'll wipe your feet.
He just wanted to give his dad, who works for the Illinois State Police Department, one more kiss before he left for the day. I think we've all been there. I'm lucky enough to have been on both sides of that exchange. Not sure which one I enjoyed more.
And props to that mom for saying, get out there. I'll wipe your feet.
Yes, go
do it.
Go do it. That's right. Thanks for watching us on this Friday. We invite you to join us again for What's New Monday at 5 o'clock. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, definitely have a wonderful weekend. What matters most with Laura starts right now.